Okay, so let's assume you need to be able to identify the people that you're shooting surf photos of from the beach. There's lots of reasons you might need to do that, but if that's the case for you, then you're probably going to want a very long lens, probably 600mm roughly equivalent, maybe 100 to 400 if your wave isn't breaking too far away from the beach, or perhaps you've got something like a pier that you can get out on to get closer to the action without being in the water. But you're going to need that really long lens, and naturally the longer the lens, the bigger the lens, and the harder it is to hold it in order to shoot those photos. So if you're in this situation, you're probably going to want a tripod or a monopod in order to support your lens. So while I was shooting surf competitions, I had a tripod with me, and I did use a tripod quite a lot, especially I should mention for video, a tripod is essential. You need a good tripod, and you need to be able to pan really smoothly to get top quality video. I'll show you, I'll put a link below, which has a video clip of Taj Burrow shot handheld at 600mm, and it was incredible. Very, very stable. But even so, for the best results, you really do need a tripod with a nice fluid head as well. So look into that if you're video focused. And I know I asked you, people like you, what they wanted to see in this course, and very few people were focused on video, so I'm going to focus on the still side of things. But bear in mind, for video you want a tripod with a fluid head. So let's go to stills for now. For identifying people, those really long lenses, a tripod I find does work really well, gives you the best, most stable platform, but there are compromises. You have to be in one place for usually a little while. It's not really worth picking your tripod up, running along the beach, putting it down. Quite often you're on the sand and you'll find that the tripod one of the legs will drift because the sand's a little bit wetter there, because you're also in the UK, at least, there's big tidal ranges, 6-8 meter tidal ranges. So if you imagine, the beach can be 200 meters long at low tide, 5 meters long at high tide. If your heat's 20 minutes long, you could be jogging down the beach, constantly moving your tripod, and I've experienced that, and I didn't have much fun doing it. So a monopod is a good happy medium between handheld and tripod. Obviously it's much lighter, it's just got one leg, monopod, and you pop your camera on top. With these types of lenses, they have lens collars, and you mount your lens to the tripod or monopod, and then you just clip your camera in the back, because the lens is the heaviest piece of equipment you're going to be carrying around. So when I have been shooting surfing events, I've seen lots of professional photographers using monopods and lots using tripods. It's really down to kind of personal preference, and what I have witnessed is people with monopods definitely move around more. So if variety is really important, then monopod is the way to go. The reason that would be important, maybe it would be covering an event for a magazine, or perhaps I once had to do cover a surf school session, and in that case you want to get a variety of different shots, because you're trying to provide the client, in this case the surf school, with different angles and different ways of presenting their product or their service. So monopod, I think, has the edge there. If you're perhaps you're documenting one person or a handful of people and their progress, maybe it's like a training aid, your photography or video, then tripod is probably the best option. You can sit down, you can get comfortable, you can lock that tripod into position, unless you're worried about the tide, obviously. So lock it in and set it up, get it all level. Very important to get it level, because as you pan, especially a long wave, the horizon, if your tripod isn't level, it might look level when you're looking straight out. If you pan through 45 degrees, you might see a big tilt. You see this quite a lot with kind of amateur surf footage, especially. You'll see them. So here's someone who's starting off on a point break wave and it's all level, all looks good, and as you pan, it's like they're surfing downhill all of a sudden by the time they get to the third section of the wave. So just make sure your tripod is completely level. I'll put some videos below on how to do that, because It's a whole technique in itself, shooting from a tripod. So you're set up in one place. If you want to just make sure you nail the shot each time, that's a great option. So for my personal style of photography, I'd go handheld, because I'm not shooting much video at all, and I'm shooting it for myself. And even with those long lenses, that 150 to 600 mil, I shot that handheld the whole time. I tried it on a tripod very briefly at the start, and I was like, I just want to move. I want to climb up on a rock. I want to run down to the other side of the beach. I want to get, there's a lifeguard flag there. I want to position that in the frame and get it in the foreground so that I've got interest. And if you've got a tripod or a monopod, less so, easier with monopod, but even so, it's another thing to carry. It's another thing to worry about. I could just holster, not literally, but figuratively holster my 600mm lens, wander over to the next bit, set it up. Also, I find that if you're trying to be a bit low key, if you're trying to be low key, then maybe don't take your 600mm lens. That's mostly another reason why I use a 35-210mm. I can put that in my pocket and I can walk around, and there's no point using a tripod with this. So there you go. There's a little bit of advice on shooting that. When you are actually shooting handheld, then lock your elbows into the side of your body, cup the lens with your left hand, or actually you might be left-handed, you might do it differently, and then have your finger obviously on your other hand on the camera body, and push, not push, but rest your eye against the viewfinder, and use the rubber cup for this. I usually take the rubber cup off my camera straight away, because I use them in water housings a lot, and water housings need to be small so that you can't fit them in often. But if you're just shooting from the land, use a little rubber cup so you can kind of really push into your camera a bit, and that way you've locked your elbows, you've got 3 points of contact, 1, 2, 3 on the camera, and you can keep that as steady as possible and make sure you can shoot that shot, get it as steady as possible without needing a monopod or a tripod. And if you're shooting at very fast shutter speeds, which I mostly am, then you don't need that tripod necessarily in order to prevent camera shake. You can do that even at 600mm. You can do it fairly well handheld. So that's some really quick advice on what to do if you've got one of those really, really long lenses.